What's that? Take cover. It's another heretic!
Welcome. I'm another heretic or Brother Nathan, whichever you prefer, and I have a guest with me. I'll let him introduce himself, and if you think that we look alike, well, there's a reason for that. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, and
Well,
we'll get started with what we're here for.
yeah, my name is Zachary, and yeah, if we look alike, it's for a reason, because we are brothers.
That's right.
Yep.
Yep, we are brothers. And kind of makes this interview here a little more interesting. I think, especially from my perspective, we've done something like this before, but I guess with little to no success as far as like the project that I wanted to do before didn't
Yeah.
really materialize. But I think
I
that
don't
this is
think
the
it
next
was
best thing.
yeah, I don't think it was the right time for it. I think God has a plan. I think just with the year I've had and everything that had transpired, everything that I mean, we've been discussing this for years at this point, but
Yeah,
I think everything that has transpired has really brought us to this moment. So past projects be past projects. We're in the now.
yeah. All right. Well, do you wanna? Well, let's see here. The first question I sent you, and we'll just try to go for about, I don't know, 30 minutes to an hour or so. We'll just go through as many questions as we can.
Yeah.
And this will probably be broken up into multiple parts. But I guess the first question I'd like to start with is, what would you like people to understand about your experience and the impact it had on your life? Which that's pretty broad in general. Obviously, we're going
Yeah.
to be looking at the impact as we go throughout each question. But what exactly happened? What would you like people to understand about your experience?
So first off, what happened? I'll start with that and kind of be cut and dry about it, not go into details or anything because I'm assuming that details will come up and um how what happened to me has affected me throughout life, like you said. That's gonna pop
Mhm.
up throughout the conversation, stuff like that. But um I
And
was
before, real
oh
quick, real
yeah,
quick.
what's up?
The reason why we want to do this is because a lot of related material to what happened to you is actually in the news. And so it's like this
Absolutely.
whole entire, it's not even a national conversation at this point. It's a totally international conversation
It's
about what's
international
happening.
conversation. Yeah.
And so our family, particularly you, it seems, of us three boys, you I think have been the most affected. And so we're going to try to
Yeah,
go through
absolutely.
that. So yeah, sorry for
Yeah.
interrupting, but
No,
that gives us a little more general context.
you're setting the stage for sure because what's happening right now in the world, I'll say the world because it's not just the United States, but I'll say what's happening right now definitely translates to what happened to me because when I was younger, you know, there were I don't know how many separate instances. I know that it happened throughout my childhood, but there were two offenders that I know of. One of which was a stranger, and then one of which was a family member. And I don't know if I can further elaborate on that because I could potentially be damaging some things and kind of feel like a time traveler sometimes because you say certain things and certain things can come from those things. So a family member, I was molested and raped as a child, to put it as straightforward, as bluntly as possible. Um, and yeah, how that uh how that has affected me, or how that has um made me live my life on a daily basis. I can say that it's a constant state of fear. Um, I'm very jaded, as my brother can probably attest to that in some instances when it comes to how I feel or how I look at the world. Um, and I just want to say that children are the truth and children are the future. And we need to do everything in our power to protect children,
Yeah.
um, especially as, like, a father. But just as men, um, we're supposed to be protectors, and often it doesn't, like, feel that way. So I've had a
Yeah.
lot of contention in my life regarding, like, what it means to be a man, and like, a lot of fears that have come with that, which you and I have also discussed about becoming a father,
Hmm.
um, for certain, like, for certain reasons and everything like that. The fear of becoming a father due to, like, the nature of man,
Hmm.
based on our own firsthand experiences and everything like that, or just the reality of the world, especially as you grow up, you kind of just start to see some shit. But
Hmm.
someone like me, um, like, who experiences something as evil as that firsthand, um, you're kind of put into a place to where it's just like you have to grow up quick, and you don't realize that you have to grow up quick, because at first you don't know what happens until you start getting context clues, or you start watching
Hmm.
media that kind of portrays those things happening. You're like, it clicks eventually. But yeah, growing up, figuring out what it is to be a man without having a father figure, without having really a male role model uh, in your life, like a consistent male role model, is definitely very damaging. So yeah, I had a lot of contention with my masculinity, what it was to be a man, and what's expected of me to be a man. Just all those things, whatever encompasses, like, being the man of a house, or masculinity, or anything regarding that, has
Hmm.
always, like, been a struggle for me because of it. And I think describing it as a male experience is important, because men um, often don't speak about their, like, sexual experiences, especially if they were abused. It's not something that people talk about. So
Yeah. Now, how you said you don't recall how many instances exactly total. Um, I guess maybe for some context, how old were you? Is it around the same time, or are these events that you recall, are they separated by many years, that sort of thing?
yeah, so the best way that I can describe it is, ironically, I don't know if your viewers are familiar with Harry Potter, um, or actually any book, any movie series. You could even refer to the Bible. One story happens, and then 100 years later, another story happens.
Hmm.
So it's like periodically throughout my life. So, like, the youngest I can probably directly remember something, like, right now anyway, because we've had talks about, like, these memories coming back to me, like, the more time has gone and stuff like that, and there's memories that have never left me that I've always just kind of held on to. But probably Georgia. So I would say around, like, I would have been, like, what, 4 years
Oh wow.
old. Yeah, like pre-K age.
That's a
Yeah.
revelation. That's a revelation to me, because the last I knew was, at least the earliest I would have placed anything happening to you would have been Algoma, when we lived in Algoma, which is Door County, Wisconsin. For those of you who don't know, it's right on the
Yeah.
peninsula. So if you're looking at
Yeah.
my hand, you can see my hand. We were living
You're gonna want
right
to flip. You're gonna
here.
want to flip. Well, they'll understand,
Yeah,
but
they'll
yeah.
see. But yeah, you'll
with my
understand.
hands.
You look at
Around the
Wisconsin.
peninsula.
We were living there the
Yeah,
last time.
the thumb and the mitten. That's where we were living. And
Oh wow, it goes back even sooner.
well, yeah, the way that I pieced all that together is I've had specific memories of going into a restroom with a specific person.
Hmm.
Um, and also being really scared at night. Um, but also another thing is there's actually three things that kind of confirmed Georgia for me. Not only were it was it the memories, but there was an instance to where I did a drawing. I made a drawing that included me and someone else. Um, I don't know if I'm allowed to say who it is, but me and someone else, and it depicted me touching them down there. And
Huh.
I remember I got scolded for that because it was quote unquote gay, not because it
Hmm.
was me and that person, but because it was gay. Um, like homosexual in nature, not because it
Right.
was depicting me with an adult, but because it was gay, or homosexual. They used that term back in the day. And then there was another instance of like, we'll probably bring
Who
this up
had?
later,
I'm
but
sorry. Sorry to interrupt. Who was the one then who had said that? Who had basically
well, you ratted me
witnessed
out.
who witnessed this? I don't have any recollection of that, honestly.
Yeah,
But
you
I would
ratted
be
me out for
curious.
drawing it, and mom scolded me for it.
Okay. Oh,
And dad never talked to me about it.
interesting. Okay.
So putting all that together, um, like I don't hold
No, that's
anything against you.
actually
You were
weird.
you were you were like 6, 7 years old at the time, so like you just scolded me for it because you knew it was a naughty picture. But
Yeah.
like you ratted me out. Mom scolded me for it. Maybe mom
Huh.
didn't call home. Maybe it was dad later when he came home at night from the recruitment office or whatever. Because this was in Douglasville, Georgia, which for people who don't know
Yeah.
is like a not so much rinky dink anymore, but it was a rinky dink rural town, I would say.
Yeah.
Kind of on the up and up, kind of like you could drive through it so easily.
Yeah.
And right at like
Southern
outside
Georgia,
of
or
Atlanta. Yeah.
yes, south of
Like
Atlanta, I
45
think.
minutes. Yeah, yeah, it's like 45 minutes south of Atlanta or something like that. But yeah, Georgia was first recollection. Algoma is where most of what I can recall happened. And then after that, it's super spotty because I think it stopped once um, certain things transpired, which kind of like, affects both of us, things that we both know in terms of like our family dynamic and what happened in Algoma and stuff like that.
Well, I know that
Um,
yeah, because we left
like,
Georgia, we came back from Georgia, lived in Wisconsin.
yeah.
Uh, so then Algoma is where it resumed.
Well, I can't think of anything that happened between Georgia and Algoma because I know that we didn't move directly to Algoma when we left Georgia, right?
No,
So
because we came back first and lived in Denmark, Wisconsin.
Denmark, yeah,
And then after that we lived in and then after that we lived in Algoma. And then after
yeah.
that, after the divorce, we came down to Janesville.
The
Yeah.
thing the thing I remember about Denmark most is being scared, and being unsure, and I remember wetting the bed a lot, a lot,
I
and
also yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
I remember that. Yep.
yeah. That started in Algoma, or no, that I started in Denmark and then it continued in Algoma. In terms of if I have any memories of if anything happened to me in Denmark, I don't. They could be mixed memories because, like I said, some of them are
Hmm.
blurry and everything like that. Like you can't recount every instance. Some moments stick and some don't, especially like if it's like a repetitive motion. If like
Hmm.
you're at your job and you're doing the same thing over and over again, working at a factory, Are you gonna know, like, without your part timer, are you gonna know how many pieces you made? You know, if you're just doing one continuous motion,
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you how many times I've tied my shoes in my
Yeah.
whole life. You know what I mean? It's like I couldn't tell you, how many glasses of water I drank today. Two,
Hmm.
five. You know what I mean? It's like that. So it's like, um, I know there was one instance of actual penetration, but outside of that, I couldn't tell you if it happened again. But I know it happened to me because you can't
Would this
unfeel
have
that.
been would this have been from the same person or different person
Uh,
as before? Like the Georgia
I,
stuff, all that.
oh, that would be a different person.
Okay. Because I knew that I knew that the rape happened in Algoma. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I guess moving on to the third question I sent you, how did your experience affect you emotionally or mentally as you grew older? It's like you said, you might not even understand everything that's happening, all the implications, especially when you're young. You just know that, I mean, I would assume that you feel confused and scared. Uh, but, you know, you, and then there's everything subconscious with this kind of trauma. Um, so how did these experiences affect you emotionally or mentally as you grew older?
Yeah, so I was very standoffish as a kid, very timid. And it just got progressively worse the older I got. Um, Never could fit in anywhere, even with the misfits. Always felt like always felt like I was hiding something. Always felt
Hmm.
like I couldn't be myself. Constantly lying to myself, being dishonest with myself, being dishonest with other people. Um, yeah, it really made me feel like an outcast, and I still do feel like an outcast because um, there's no way that you can really relate with anyone uh, about it. So it's like, regardless of how much you talk about it or anything like that, just is always kind of nipping at you, you know. Um, but overall, it just pushed me to the outside, made me suicidal. Definitely, a lot of my mental instability is definitely caused um, by sexual, like, abuse and everything like that.
Hmm.
Uh,
Can I ask a
it
question quick?
really, yeah.
Were you threatened to keep what was happening a secret? Like these people, this person, or these people, whoever was or had done this to you, was it ever one of those instances where they said, if you ever tell someone, then I will kill you or hurt
No,
you or something like that? Or did you just keep it secret?
I pretty much, there's kind of two answers to that. I was never directly told by the offender that they would harm or kill me or harm someone I know or love or whatever the case may be. It
Hmm.
was never something like that. What I think it was I was always a quiet, timid, complacent child, and the offenders knew that and took advantage of it because they knew that I probably wouldn't say anything because I never spoke up anyway.
Right, that's just your nature. Because
It's exactly,
you were a very quiet, very well behaved, kind of off to yourself kid.
yeah. I
Me,
like
on
I
the
was
other hand, I was very rambunctious. I was a terror. I was unmanageable,
mhm,
by all accounts.
yeah.
So I don't think that I don't think that something like that could have happened to me as a kid, just because I would have been someone I think who would have said something.
Mhm.
If not
Or
to
done
the
something,
person
left a mark or
directly, I
something.
would have done
Yeah.
something either to the person who was doing it, or I would have run and told someone.
Yeah.
Um, That was just
But
kind of
me,
my
yeah,
nature. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But I was the opposite. Like mom's like, "Oh, you're the easiest one to raise," and all this and that. And I think that the offenders just saw that, and because one of them was in the family, they knew that. I think it was just like a, "Hey, don't tell your mom" type situation. Like they knew that I
Yeah.
wouldn't say it. Like they just subconsciously knew, whether it was because they've offended before or they just knew, like, mom
Yeah.
so well that they knew that I wouldn't go to mom or whatever. So I think it was one part of me just being the kid that I was, not saying it was my fault or anything, but like me being easily preyed upon because I was such a timid, kept to myself, like
Hmm.
no child, but also being told by a parent, I will kill someone if they, like, and as a kid, you, like, hearing if someone ever did something to you, I'll kill them. As a kid, it's like, well, I don't want to be responsible for someone's death, you
Yeah.
know?
Hmm.
So was my life threatened? No, but other people's lives were threatened without me knowing the implications of what exactly was happening to me. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So it's just like,
Yeah.
imagine being a child weighing, if I tell, will my mother kill this person? But if I don't tell, what exactly is going to happen?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So being a child making
And it's pretty well
a
understood by people in society that predators have a knack for discovering which one's the weakest,
yeah.
which one's the most vulnerable.
Mhm.
So had you ever tried to tell someone? Were there ever moments where you wanted to? Did you ever try to hint toward any adult or even me? Was there any instance where you tried to tell me and I just kind of wasn't there, wasn't receptive? Because
Uh,
part of the problem
no.
with situations like this is that
Yeah.
sometimes people do approach adults or other authority figures or
Yeah.
siblings, and sometimes it gets worse. Sometimes they're just not believed.
Yeah. So that's a pretty deep question. Um, when it happened, I was too young to know it happened to me.
Hmm.
And it wasn't until I started watching Law and Order SVU that it really clicked. It was just
Interesting.
a show. It was like, oh, well, these kids, like, oh, that happened to me. And like, oh, these kids, and oh, the police got involved. And
Yeah.
you put, like, two and two together and you get four, and it just kind of, um, for
Yeah.
people who don't know, I don't know if people still watch it, but SVU was the Special Victims Unit, which was Law and Order for, like, basically rape victims. Um, for people who don't know, but that show's been on for forever, long enough. It's
Incredible
been
show, by
long,
the way.
yeah.
We
It's
watched
been
it
uh,
all the
a
time. I
lot,
remember
yeah,
watching that show.
yeah, yeah. That show was on
It's
when
like
we were young.
yeah, it was
Yeah,
like it's quite popular. It was kind of like an X File sort of thing.
yeah. It was the most popular version of Law and Order. So,
Yeah.
um, so that's when it clicked, and I was like, oh wait. So by the time that it clicked, you and I were going through our things. So I felt like I couldn't tell you because we were
Yeah.
always fighting.
Yeah.
And then mom had suspicions something happened to me, but mom was making open threats that she was going to kill someone. And it's like, cool. So I'm going to lose my whole family if so it's just like,
Right.
and that's something that I tried to explain to mom, and mom
Sheesh.
just didn't want to take any responsibility. It's like, you do realize that you saying you're going to kill these people only push me further in, because you're basically saying, hey, my, like, 6-year-old child, like, whenever they started getting suspicions, if
Yeah.
you tell me, I will kill them. And like, you're asking a child to make a decision that no adult should have to make, you know,
Yeah, it's
basically. So
bizarre.
So I kept it
It's
inside.
a lot of
I kept it
pressure.
in. I kept
I
it
never
inside.
thought of that before. I never thought of that before. And
Yeah.
I'd never considered that before. But that makes a lot of
So,
sense.
yeah. It's like, do I want to be responsible for someone's death? You know? So
That's awful.
I wasn't silenced by my abuser. I was silenced by someone who was supposed to support me because they were willing to like I get it. I get it. Like as a father and like like I'm so jaded. Like
Yeah.
I don't know what I do.
Yeah.
But that's not how you draw information from a child, and you shouldn't put that on the child's shoulder. Like you shouldn't say,
Yeah.
if anything did happen to you, then I'll kill him. Like that's putting so
Yeah.
much weight on someone's shoulders. Just like, all right, well, I better not say anything then because then I'll go like, will I be an accessory? Well, and like these like you
For someone
it,
who
it
for someone in elementary school, that's a hard, like, that's bizarre. That
yeah,
I'd never thought of that before, but that's all of that. What you just said was,
it's heavy.
I think, very profound and insightful.
And I kept it in silence for so long. And by the time that I was ready to tell people, you were off in college doing your thing. We still didn't have the best relationship.
Hmm.
So I felt like I couldn't go to you. Um, Mom remarried. That wasn't going well for me.
Well,
So I couldn't go to,
Mom had remarried when we were in high school.
oh
By the
yeah, yeah,
time
yeah,
I think it
yeah,
was by the time I think I'd gone to I'd already transferred to Whitewater, I think, and I
yeah,
was already
yeah,
there for like
yeah,
half a semester, I think,
yeah,
when you
yeah,
opened up to Mom. Because I
yeah,
remember being home from Whitewater
yeah,
and sitting in your room, the room that we used to share, and hearing all of it
yeah.
and just being devastated, weeping.
Yeah. The thing is like I didn't even want to tell Mom, but I was struggling so much mentally that I had to tell someone. And
Hmm.
like Mom was the only logical person. I didn't have a way to contact you. I didn't feel comfortable telling my friends. Like I literally only had Mom, and I didn't want to tell Mom because of the things that she said. It's
Yeah.
just yeah, it was a
Um.
lot. So I didn't have anyone. I felt like I didn't really have anyone I felt like I could trust. Um, like, because when I was real little, when I was young, when it was happening to me, and like, I'd say from like the ages of like 6, 7, 8, when I realized like what fully had happened to me, all the way up until I was like, there was really no break or time for me to, because we left Algoma, we moved to Janesville. Our living situation there was weird. Like, it was just constant growing pains.
Living situations. I feel like,
Yeah,
I mean, we grew up, it was a military family, so it was like every 2 or 3 years, I think, we ended up moving, and that was since I was a toddler.
yeah.
We moved over
But
to Germany, then
yeah,
down to Georgia, then back up to Wisconsin, and then when we were in Wisconsin, I think I have double I have double digit numbers, I think, from how many different places we've lived our whole life.
yeah.
And like
It's
half that number is like moving around in Janesville alone.
yeah, yeah.
So,
So I didn't have so for so long I didn't have consistent friends. And then by the time that I did start making consistent friends, it was like middle school, high
mhm,
school, and even then like my friends like they weren't the best people. Some of them were really good friends, but like I didn't really fit in with them. Um like it was, and plus I was like going home and watching our siblings and stuff like that. Like
yeah.
um
Plus a bunch of
yeah,
other
dude.
stuff that was happening in that house too,
Dude,
which we're
dude,
gonna
like
talk
I said,
about later.
like
Or we'll
It
talk about
never,
some other time,
yeah,
but I
it
mean,
never,
like,
yeah,
it was a wild time, dude.
dude, it never felt like
Wild.
there was a slowdown period in my life. It just kind of felt like
No.
one major event after another, one move after another,
Yep.
one boyfriend after another, like just just something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Boyfriend for mom, I should
Yeah.
clarify on that, but like it's just constant motion, never time to slow down, and then constantly having like, your mother be like, "We're broke, I can't do this," and like just constantly putting the weight of the world on your shoulders, like our whole lives, and it's just like, plus I'm dealing with this secret that I'm keeping,
Yeah.
and I'm not doing well in school, and mom's not engaged with me, like, and
Yeah.
I'm churning through everything by myself
Yeah.
because mom wasn't present and Brian was there and he wasn't present even though he was present because of it was a lot. So
Yeah.
by the time that high school came around and I was mentally just I was done and I had to say something. And then it was a relief finally coming out about it, but I could not have predicted where we would be all these years later because that was 2012
Yeah, because I graduated
going
Whitewater
in.
in 2013, and
Yeah,
shortly thereafter moved down to Phoenix.
yeah.
So
I mean, we're 4 years apart, which is like perfect timing because you graduated high school and I immediately went into high school, and then you
yeah,
graduated college and I was graduating high school.
yeah,
So
and we were severely estranged at that point.
yeah,
Um, I mean, there's
yeah.
so much more that
We
we could
do
honestly talk about if we wanted
honestly,
to make
bro.
this just about our
We
own
could,
separate
but it all, yeah,
odysseys. I mean, we could
uh,
weave it together later, but I mean,
yeah,
as far as like your story,
yeah,
you mentioned the mental stuff. I mean, the constant moving, the I mean, we were practically homelessness for sleeping on people's extra rooms and sometimes
yeah,
sleeping in a car for a night until we can get into the rental. It's just stuff like that.
yeah,
Um, so not only do you have this physical trauma, this spiritual trauma, this which we'll talk about later. Uh, all this, and then the mental trauma. I mean, can you describe that, kind of like unpack what that was like mentally? Especially, I know that I the metaphor I would use is cracks started to form in the dam late high school and it
the
burst.
levee broke. Yeah,
You tell mom, you finally open up to her about it. We're all broken, we're all crying, and then it's like you didn't want to tell mom, but you did. You felt like you had to because of this mental burden. But then it's like that was only the beginning of what
yeah,
was
it
to
really
come next.
was. It
So
really
walk
was
us
only
through
the
so walk
beginning.
us through that.
Yeah, so
And then we'll find a
I would,
nice place to stop and then we'll pick it up for part two because
yeah,
part two is
absolutely.
basically the I guess maybe the second breakdown I would call it. And then after that, probably your healing journey.
Yeah.
So anyway, sorry.
Um,
Go back
I would
and
say
tell us about the mental
yeah,
stuff. Yeah.
I would say leading up, like prior to revealing everything, a lot of loss, confusion, and just just feeling lost, just feeling like a fly on the wall rather than like a body in the room, just
Hmm.
ever present, but like I always felt like I was annoying people, even like if I
Hmm.
wasn't or whatever. So I felt inhuman after I had revealed everything. Um, I feel like nothing changed for the
Hmm.
longest time. Like I revealed it and I was like, oh, that's it. Started going to therapy. Um, which was a terrible experience at first. Um, I was I had just I graduated high school shortly after that, and I had absolutely zero desire to like continue on with life. I felt lost. I felt forgotten because even after all of that, like nothing changed in the family dynamic really, except for you and I eventually started getting closer, even though we had our bits of fights and stuff after that. Um, but the dynamic didn't change. Nothing really got better. Mentally, it was constant state of trying to figure out who I was. On one end of the spectrum, I did know who I was. I knew that I was talented at the things that I did pursue. I knew that I was capable. I knew that I was like, an intelligent, empathetic person. But outside of that, like, I felt like I hadn't done enough. I felt like I was too late. Um, and I honestly felt like I wasn't taken seriously. Um, it felt like after I reviewed it or revealed it, I think mom took it selfishly.
Hmm.
Um, because we never spoke about it after I revealed it. The only thing she ever asked me was if it was dad that did it, and after that, she didn't care. Um, it felt like a non-issue, so I kind of buried it again. And the only people that really like stood behind me for the first few years after I revealed it, um, was Bry, my best friend, and like my bandmates. And that's all I had for like the longest time. And even then, I still felt alone because like you can't explain like the phantom pains that you get. You can't you can't describe like the physical pains that you still endure after something like that, and you can't describe the mental anguish. Like it's a completely different demon. And it translated into like dating. Um, felt very emasculated. Um, I was scared of commitment, scared to become a father. Um, and that also just translated into just like typical friendships as well. Um, I felt like half a person.
Wow.
Um, like, and like the mental illnesses got worse because like at first it was depression, like clinical depression and suicidal tendencies. And it's like, oh, well, you have those, but you also have anxiety. It's like, oh, well, you also have bipolar. And then you have like bipolar psychosis. And it's like, oh, you have like, you're a paranoid schizophrenic, so it's like things just kept stacking up throughout my life, and it's just like it answered a lot of questions. And like right now, mentally, I think I'm stronger than I've ever been. Um, but I would say from 2013 up until 2018, 2019, a good 6, 7 years, it was probably like this absolute, just being absolutely alone in the world on all fronts. because like it never is not something that's on my mind. I'm always thinking about it, and that's left me very jaded in the world, um, to where I can't often find joy in things or trust anyone or anything. Um, Not even myself at times. So very jaded outlook on life and the system and just reality and yeah,
You
I don't know
mentioned,
if I answered.
yeah, you did. Thank you. You said I felt like half a person. Is that what I've in other testimonies I've heard from survivors? Um, they a lot of them will say that they dissociated when they were being traumatized, whether it's some form of torture or
Yeah,
ongoing molestation or rape or something like that.
yeah,
Do you
it's a
have
perpetual state of
is it called
yeah.
dissociative identity disorder or DID? Is that what it is?
I mean, I've never been diagnosed with it, but it would make sense. But that's pretty much how those after I after I revealed what had happened to me, that's kind of how it felt was just disassociated from reality.
Hmm.
Um, like still in control of everything I was doing, but like felt like I was behind the scenes. Um,
Wow.
like yeah, it was very weird, very weird.
I've disassociated myself. Uh, even kind of recently. You just sometimes you feel so stressed that you just kind of like you're in yourself, but you're almost third person. It's really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think this might actually be a good place to stop for now. We'll call this part one. Part two, we can finish out these other questions, maybe tell the later half your um the other half your story. Um and then we'll talk about maybe in a part three and part four we'll go back to Terrace Street and talk about a lot of the stuff that was manifesting there probably as a result of some of this stuff. So
Yeah, we can definitely dive into like the paranormal aspect
yeah,
um of things for
we'll
sure.
do that later.
Yeah, just because I have a lot of interesting theories regarding what happened to me and how abuse victims might perceive the world, and how some people who were probably abused don't even know they were abused because of things that have been planted into their brains,
Hmm.
which is
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to that aspect because it's something
yeah.
I've been theorizing for a while.
Well, brother, thank you so much for taking the time to rehash all of this again. I know that we talk about it so much, and it's honestly every time enlightening. Every time we talk about it, I leave feeling encouraged because I feel like each time we talk about it, you're it helps you heal more,
Hmm.
and it was revelatory for me. Um, and I appreciate you taking the time. So yeah, we'll end it here, and then we'll do other parts later, God willing. So I think that's it.
Yeah, yeah. Until next time, I guess. I'm
Yeah,
looking forward to it. Thanks for
awesome.
having me. Um, yeah,
All
it
right,
is
bro.
really healing. It is really healing. I will say that. But the more I talk about it, the more it's easier to articulate kind of what I've gone through. I'm trying to make it easy to digest because I could spend a lot of time on specific things if I really wanted to, but for the
Yeah.
sake of time, I cut things down for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, we can always go deeper in the
yeah, for
future if we
sure.
need to,
Anytime,
because
anytime.
apparently this issue is still going on in the world. It's probably never going to go away. And so we're going to have to continue to talk about these things and continue to raise awareness and be activists. And so, again, Zach, thank you for your time and
No problem.
have a good night.
Thanks to you too, bro.
Love you.
Love you too.
Thank you for watching. What Jesus says to one, he says to all. Repent and believe the gospel, for the kingdom of God and of heaven is at hand.